Fair Trading Fraud Prevention Guidelines and the Vendor ID Checklist, or the check form as they refer to it. Now this is part of the supervision guidelines, and but we've had it now for since 2013, and that suggested checklist that Fair Trading have on their website that they've put out as part of the fraud prevention guidelines. It's so easy. It's there. All you need to do is download it from the Fair Trading website and you've got it. What you need to remember is that all sections of that form need to be completed. Not just part 1 where you get some photo ID. It's part 1 plus part 2 plus part 3. You need to complete the whole page. Okay, now this is a copy of this document that you complete to note that you've cited all of these documents. It's not about keeping a copy of the documents, it's about noting that you have cited these documents. The form clearly states that. You need to keep a copy of that on file. So you need, as an agent, you need to ensure that more than one type of vendor ID is cited. So obviously for the photo ID, it's a driver's license or a passport is used for that photo ID section. However, part 2 of that form is additional ID such as a gas, electricity, a water rates notice, a Medicare card, a credit card. They're required for further confirmation of the vendor's ID. You open up your wallet, if you've just got one form of ID in terms of a driver's license and no Medicare card, no credit cards, nothing else, you've got to start questioning who is this person? Because you open up your wallet, you've got lots of things in there that prove that you are. I open up my wallet, they all show me, and unfortunately there's probably a few too many credit cards in there, but they've all got my name on them. They all say who I am. Okay, so that's really, then the part C is about the document which shows ownership of the property. Identifies the persons or the entity, if it's a corporate entity, as identified as the vendors to the property, and then that's a council rates notice is usually the easiest one to get there. Somebody can't provide you with a council rates notice for a property that they supposedly own. You'd have to start questioning whether they actually own that property or not. Look, if it's an investment property, that might go through to the managing agent, but that can obviously be obtained. The vendor ID checklist actually needs to be dated and signed by the licensee. Now there's no requirement for the vendor to sign this. Probably some good practice to get the vendor to sign it, so as proof that they actually provided that to you and that they've seen it, but no requirement to get the vendor to sign it. And make sure that you actually obtain this vendor ID checklist prior to entering into the agency agreement. So and not just that you've done that, but some evidence in your file showing that you've actually entered into that prior to entering into the agency agreement. So the date, it's really important to date everything. Don't forget that. Surely you know what the date is today on any day that you're getting a listing. You're putting it on 3 other types of documents or 10 other types of documents that you're there filling in. Put it on your ID, your vendor ID checklist. So really important. So all of this information is detailed in the fraud prevention guidelines, which, as I said, are part of your supervision guidelines now. Last note here is always failure by an agent to properly complete a vendor ID check will constitute a breach of section 37(2) of the Property and Stock Agents Act. And 4 of as the guidelines actually show, there are 4 of the rules of conduct out of Schedule 1. The rules of conduct are Schedule 1 of the Property and Stock Agents Regulation, and may again result in an agent being given a penalty infringement notice with a fine of $1,100 for the corporate licensee and $550 for an individual licensee. Again, you don't need these fines for not completing something that, when you're sitting there with a vendor, goodness, it's the best option you've got to say, look how professional we are as an agency, that I am as an agent, in that I'm getting this to protect you and to make sure that we've got the right person selling the right property. So, it's just a big tick for you as a professional agent. So put that rationale in your head and you won't forget to actually get this one signed.